Do you ever tell someone to man up or to stop being such a girl? No big deal, right? Aren't they just casual words? Well, according to a recent research project, most aggression towards women is influenced by derogatory gendered language. And who's really surprised when we use a slang word for women's genitalia to denote weakness, but when we tell someone to man up, it's because we want them to show strength? It is deeply disturbing that young generations of boys and girls grow up hearing these ideas and internalizing them as norms. Fellow human beings, gender inequality is embedded into the English language, creating a systemic barrier for women that is woven into the fabric of our lexicon. This is done by deriving countless words from man, using sexist name titles, and sexualizing women with dangerous, archaic, and pejorative slurs. It's time to women up and choose language that empowers instead of demeans. Firstly, it is subtle and even socially acceptable to use the pronoun he to represent all genders. A recent study conducted by Heinlein shows that male terms are generally viewed as non-discriminatory because of the norm they represent in our lives. The use of male terms to represent everyone has been debated in a variety of classrooms, courtrooms, and textbooks, and has been underscored as a form of discrimination, specifically sexism. Furthermore, the sheer number of words that derive from the prefix man, including but not limited to man-made, mankind, man up, right-hand man, fireman, postman, and man as the verb reflect the philosophy that men are the more dominant and powerful sex. Cheryl Klein from the University of North Carolina has been teaching a sociology class on gender inequality for the last 11 years. And while she covers many topics, the one that students can't seem to understand is sexist language. They struggle with the idea that male generics can be used, but the thought of a man being called a woman is so upsetting. Cheryl says it's no accident that man is the anchor in our language and woman is not. The strides made by women's movement are undermined by the fact that the message that men are more important than women is rooted into our language. Secondly, women continue to fight for their rights and are still made to feel inferior with the use of titles that reflect their marital status. Why do women need to express whether they are married or not by using Miss for the former and Mrs. for the latter? Meanwhile, men, no matter their relationship status, can just use Mr. because their identity is unaffected by whether they are married or not. This speaks to a shameful history where unmarried women couldn't own or inherit any properties, had a lower legal status, and couldn't open up a bank account or obtain any loans. In general, they were less respected, especially when it came to child custody, despite being the gender responsible for raising them. These outdated titles reflect an outdated ideology, and if we do not show that our perception of women has evolved, we will keep perpetuating these dangerous and ancient notions. Thirdly, women must deal with the derogatory terms that are exceptionally used towards their gender and specifically attack them for being promiscuous. In contrast, there are no words that are equivalently denigrating for men. Examples of such words used towards women include slut, whore, wench, mistress, and sadly many others. The fact that this list is so extensive reveals a dangerous attitude about women's sexuality. As a culture, we constantly paint female sexuality as disgraceful, whereas sexually active men are revered and praised. Not only is this attitude morally reprehensible, but can have dire consequences. Rehtaeh Parsons, a 17-year-old Canadian girl, was allegedly raped by 4 boys who distributed photos of the attack online. Afterwards, she was mercilessly bullied and slut-shamed by her peers. Tragically, she took her life soon after. It is possible that if Rehtaeh had not been labeled a slut and endured a merciless bullying that accompanied the slur, she would still be alive today. This demeaning language is not only immoral, cruel, and unfair, it is dangerous. Ultimately, women can continue to make strides in the workplace, in education, and even at home. But if we do not modernize our language to catch up with the evolving norms, our efforts will be undermined because the subliminal messages will be loud and clear. Women are less than men, invisible without them, and promiscuous at the core. As I draw to a close, I ask you to consider the Sapir-Whorf's hypothesis, which asserts that the structure of language determines a native speaker's perception and categorization of experience. In other words, what we say and how we say affects the way we think about things. How do we want to think about our mothers, daughters, sisters, and friends? Your words have the power to make that difference.